I started with the list of partners that are here today because I think the list of partners that have made their time to come to this room pretty much accurately shows us the scale of the problem that we have in Nigeria and the people that it's going to take to close that problem. Let me start with the Association of Borehole Drillers and Riggers in Nigeria. As I look at the t-shirts from the young water aid counselors, their t-shirts say vote for WASH. And I think we're all pretty global people in this room. And we know what WASH looks like. We know what WASH looks like in a society where WASH works. And I will be the first to tell you that in a society where WASH works, you don't see it. You don't see it because the dams are outside town and they already have their filtration systems. The pipes are underground. So the first and last point that you will see, water sanitation and hygiene, is when you open a tap and clean, drinkable water comes out of that tap. But what we have with us here in Nigeria, we've got the well engineers, we've got the borehole drillers and riggers, and the few politicians that decide to invest in WASH do so by putting up an overhead tank so that everybody can see what they have done. But overhead tanks are not the solution to bringing clean water and therefore sanitation and hygiene to our communities around Nigeria and our 200 million people who need clean water to survive, to thrive, and to transform the futures of our citizens. So I'll thank you again for this kind invitation. As stakeholders united in the belief that whoever you are and wherever you are, water is your human right. I believe that if we truly intend to leave no one behind, we must actually start with one toilet for all and ensure that after using that toilet, hand washing with soap will ensure clean hands for all. I will be working with the World Bank to work on its campaign in Nigeria to end open defecation, which stands at a rate of 25% and poses a serious sanitary hazard. Last November, the federal government of my own beloved country launched its emergency response to our water and sanitation crisis. This has been fated as the first phase of the National Action Plan. At the WELLBEING Foundation Africa, we launched a water sanitation and hygiene campaign in May 2018 at the World Health Organization offices here in Abuja. We did so because of the overwhelming evidence that was coming back to us from our 576 locations of frontline healthcare programs that we had to go back and retrace our steps. That WASH indices in Nigeria were not only poor, but they were worsening in many, many instances. WASH indices are often rightly discussed as statistical values. That is, of course, crucial to any national plan. And the WELLBEING Foundation Africa staunchly advocates for improved civil registration and vital statistics systems. We know that 1 out of 3 Nigerians does not have clean water close to home, and 2 in 3 do not have a decent household toilet. This contributes to the deaths of nearly 60,000 children under 5 each year from diarrheal illnesses caused by dirty water, poor sanitation, and very poor hygiene. Our Nigerian WASH conditions kill more people annually in Nigeria than the number of people that have died from conflict with Boko Haram. According to WaterAid, our host here today, it also means a loss of 9% of our GDP, which is around $3.38, $3.38 billion a year. At the front line, these statistics are very, very real in the lives and deaths of our people. Women and infants are dying needlessly in labor rooms with maternal sepsis, taking a mother's life at what should be the most joyous of times, because that labor room does not have a sink, clean water out of a tap, and soap. Meanwhile, poor wash conditions also endanger infection prevention and control systems. The fact that outbreaks of diseases have been so severe in Nigeria recently, with the WHO, whom I serve as special advisor, commenting that the Lassa fever outbreak last year was unprecedented. That is no coincidence. This forum rightly wishes to highlight and analyze the importance of states buying into a national plan. But there are some potential pitfalls which we must be mindful to avoid. The first is any inclination to swiftly blame individual states for poor wash indices if they have not been allocated the funds, the expertise, and the support to improve them. Decentralization of responsibility is only reasonable if the states are adequately supported. Additionally, it is important to note that Nigeria is struggling to maintain its current infrastructure, inadequate as it is for the current population and entirely unfit for the years ahead. Our federal government must lead the way, and I believe is trying to lead the way, in achieving economies of scale in densely populated areas by providing piped water and not forcing individual families or streets to rely on their own resources. As the World Bank rightly highlights, this also allows for the proper regulation of groundwater, which is essential in the fight against pollution. This forum also wishes to promote collaborations between government, civil society organizations, and the private sector to provide the funding, and I will add also provide the expertise to dramatically improve wash indices. It is perhaps useful for me to share our own experience of these partnerships and the advocacy that can help to inform our actions at this stage. When we launched our WASH campaign, our mama care midwives, who work in 4 states and 576 locations, immediately began to advocate in healthcare facilities for better standards and taught proper hand washing techniques to staff. Their experiences informed our updated personal social health and economic education program in schools, teaching staff and students alike the importance of good wash standards. This is because we already had the framework in place and the trust of communities to adapt our programs to address a significant health risk quickly. But in a country of almost 200 million people, we knew that we had to reach far beyond our own programs. And this is where the key relationships between frontline experience and the ability to improve capacity by achieving effective advocacy came in. When we launched the campaign last May, we announced that the foundation would work with partners, including Global Water 2020, an initiative based in Washington, D.C., which is designed to accelerate progress towards water access and security for all people in all development countries, with a particular focus on increasing the availability of WASH in healthcare facilities. A key element of that partnership is advocating for improved WASH standards, both in Nigeria and around the world. As special advisor to the WHO Africa Regional Office, I always strongly advocate for the WHO sepsis resolution to be adopted and implemented by all governments. In October 2018, the WHO then introduced new and pioneering guidelines for WASH in conjunction with neglected tropical diseases, which we are at risk of. The following month, we led a delegation to Washington to take part in multilateral meetings with the United States State Department, the World Bank, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the American Academy of Sciences, and members of the United States Congress. That visit was intended as both an information gathering exercise and to engender a new spirit of cooperation on WASH. We were very happy afterwards when the USAID announced its e-WASH program to bring clean water to 3 million Nigerians in 6 states. That visit was followed by a formal submission to the 2018 United Nations High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development. The intervention was made in relation to the forum event Partnerships That Deliver for Girls and Women, an interactive dialogue to break down silos and achieve the SDGs organized by Women Deliver. Following that intervention, Nigeria remedied the lack of priority that it was placing by putting in its approved WASH World Bank loan. So the money is now in place at a government level. In September 2018, we turned to the private sector and partnered with Unilever Lifebuoy Nigeria and Sight Savers to improve hygiene practices to impact more than 2 million children in their schools and communities over the next 12 months. The partnership works on a program which promotes hygiene messages and prevents disease, advancing hand washing with soap in schools. We are also providing these schools with pipe-borne water. So we are addressing the issues of child illnesses and mortality due to preventable diseases, and the 2 key diseases that we are preventing being diarrhea and also trachoma, which is a disease of the eye, which is very often ignored in the chain of hand washing. On the 25th of October 2018, we then called for a state of emergency to be announced in Nigeria on the standards of water, sanitation, and hygiene. And as we all know, gladly, 2 weeks later, our President, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, heeded that call and declared the state of emergency to be in place. At the WELLBEING Foundation Africa, regarding the Niger Delta particularly, we are currently exploring collaborations with Smith's Laboratories and Assist International to see if we can put in clean water filtration systems for regional hospitals as a means of bringing safe water to health facilities. Our experience of partnerships with the private sector regarding WASH and also nutrition interventions is proof that we can build on existing networks, and it is essential to build on existing networks, which is why I welcomed all of you so happily to this room today. A successful national strategy for WASH must show to the world that it has a sustainable framework which the private sector can not only support, but the private sector can lead. We have shown that to reach the most vulnerable people, midwives are ideally suited as the interlocutors to give women, in particular, their own agency and autonomy when it comes to water, sanitation, and hygiene. It's not a coincidence that we have 2 young ladies in the room who have already started to lead by trying to take water back to their communities. Women are the primary nurturers and the primary carers and can be seen as the primary agents of WASH. This national strategy, which seeks to use WASH interventions, can also heal the nation by making use of midwives and nurses at the primary level as well as in IDP camps. Those of us who do further research into the conflicts that govern women, peace, security, insurgency, and herdsman-farmer conflicts, we know that the root of those conflicts is pastoral grazing grounds and water to water the herds. So women can be the trusted change makers who can demonstrate to local and global partners their ability to implement change. We must, however, have our security guaranteed. I look forward to our discussions today, but I also look forward to swift and transformative change of Nigeria's WASH indices and therefore the health and dignity of our citizens. Our work must be truly bold and must take the best of both local innovation and global innovation to the front lines if we are to succeed. I don't know how many of you are in the same age group with me, but I'm going to be 55 this year. And there is a song we used to sing in school. I think it was originally sang by the late Fela Anikulapo Kuti. That song was titled Water in No Get Enemy. Water is essential to life. Clean water is essential to us ensuring that the lives in our nation survive and thrive. And I think as we gather here today, a small group of determined organizations and people who all have individual WASH programs, I think we need to embrace the spirit of collaboration, to join our programs together in focus, if not in technical implementation, to truly ensure that water will get enemy for Nigeria. Thank you very much.